Welcome to Brighton Cloud and Learn, and the return of the coffee tables. Woo! So today we're going to be getting into groups. We're going to learn about different areas of the basic experience pipeline, I guess, however we want to call it. We're also now official Fringe ambassadors or Fringe coordinators, which we're very much celebrating.
I was very excited to see that our session was on the what's going on Fringe.
Yeah, so even better. So today, our aim is to start to network together, talk to each other, and be really open. These events are great for us to communicate with each other and learn from each other. So however experienced you are, you can learn from other people. If you want to be developing in the cloud, if you've got a little bit of experience, you want to learn a bit more, I'm going to be talking at that table. And then Serena.
Yes, I'll be hosting the New to Cloud table, going over LinkedIn tips and tricks, advice. What I'd really like to do as well is to encourage everybody from both the mid-level and the more experienced table to come over to the New to Cloud table to share pieces of information and lessons learned that we've all learned the hard way in our cloud career journey.
And likewise, it's a great way of meeting new people, like mentors, being able to find out someone who might be able to support your career. So again, don't be afraid to ask. If you want to meet a mentor, connect on LinkedIn, or even the Brighton Cloud LinkedIn page.
And you can all see here that today we have our badges. So you've got Zarina, pronounced Zarina.
And me, Lacey, and pronounced Lacey.
Perfect. Let's go over to the agenda. So we've done the Welcome to Brighton Cloud. In terms of the agenda today, we have, we're doing the introduction to Brighton Cloud and Silicon Brighton. As mentioned, we'll have the amazing cloud coffee table session, and at the end of the day, we'll be closing down for a Q&A and closing remarks and more networking.
So very exciting. So I think it's over to Charlie now. Not quite yet.
No?
Oh, one more page.
Okay, so this event will be recorded. So if you, for any reason, if you do not wish to be photographed or go online or anything like that, please speak to the team as well. Thank you very much for the space, the wonderful Runway East. I think we've really enjoyed all the sessions that we've had here today. Is there, yeah, from that aspect, and over to Charlie to talk about Silicon Brighton.
Thank you very much, guys. We'll be able to take that from you as well. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, for those of you I've not had the pleasure to meet just yet, my name's Charlie. I work in events and community engagement for Silicon Brighton. And we are the host of Brighton and Hove's tech sector. We support over 30 different tech meetups across the tech and digital scene within the city, all of which you can see here, including Brighton Cloud, Brighton AWS user group, and Sussex Azure user group, to name just a few relevant ones. All of our events are free to join, available to people at all levels, and hybrid. So all of you are here obviously in the room with us tonight, but you can also watch the events online at home on the live stream. Give away to the cameras where we've got the live stream going, and hello to everyone who's tuning in to watch at home. This also means that when you're finished tonight, you can go home and watch everything back to replay all of your favorite highlights and all your favorite moments. None of the work that we do would be possible without the help of our supporters, all of whom you can see here. We owe them huge debt of gratitude and huge thanks. And if there is a company that you know that might be interested in supporting us, maybe you could put them in touch with us and they might be able to help us out with some support as well. To which end, we're looking for help all the time at Silicon Brighton. Maybe you have interest in being a speaker at an event or contributing to a meetup group more, or coming volunteering and helping out at the events. If you'd like to help us out, please do come and chat with myself or my colleague Steve at the end this evening. These are our values. I'll let you read through these whilst I'm talking, but we like to uphold these in all of the work that we do at all of our events and in all the content that we produce. And we do ask that if you feel these aren't being upheld at any point, please to just let us know. And again, please come and have a chat with me anytime. You can follow us on socials, on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter/X, and TikTok, all of which we are at Silicon Brighton. You can see the amazing content that we put out across all those different platforms. And we are, as everyone knows, it's a fantastic time to be in Brighton in the month of May. There's loads of fantastic stuff going on, but we are debuting a partnership with Brighton Fringe this year, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in a moment specifically, but we are partnering with Fringe throughout all of our events in May and having a Fringe act come through and do a preview of their event before we get into the bulk of the meetup event this evening. This has been so much fun for us to be able to put together and to partner with the festival. There's over 700 events listed on the Fringe site throughout May, which just gives you an idea of the breadth of scope of creativity that goes on throughout the city in May. It's just absolutely fantastic. If you scan the QR code there and use the discount Silicon at the checkout on the Fringe site, you'll be able to get a discount on any tickets that you purchase for any shows there. And similarly, we're very busy ourselves as well. We've got pretty much 3 events a week throughout all of May, which is fantastic. Tomorrow, we are running Brighton Art, and then on Tuesday, Brighton Kotlin, and then on Thursday next week, we've got the double of Brighton Days Forum and Brighton Blockchain. All of these you can see at our website, siliconbrighton.com/events, or if you scan your QR code there, you'll be taken to the events page of our website where you can sign up for all of these events and more. Likewise, if you've not done so already, please consider joining our Slack community where you can keep the conversation going on in between events and network and keep in touch with people that you meet at the events and find out the stuff that's going on that you might not hear about otherwise. It's a brilliant, lively Slack space and would really encourage you to join. And finally, please also join the Brighton Cloud meetup page where you can scan this QR code or go to meetup.com/Brighton-cloud and get notified for the next event, which I believe is going to be on the 24th of July, I think. And that, oh, hello, we've got a new Brighton Cloud LinkedIn group. Look at that, that's good, isn't it? You can also scan that and join that there to join the Brighton Cloud LinkedIn group as well. Fantastic. And that is everything from me. So, excuse me one second. As I said, this is a fantastic time with our Fringe partnership in May, and we're very lucky to have a fantastic Fringe act doing a preview of their show for us tonight. Based on interviews with her grandmother, Abuela, Viaje uses storytelling, song, and physical theatre to share her grandmother's exciting and heartbreaking journey from Cuba to Puerto Rico to North America. A journey that immerses audiences in the captivating history of her Cuban family, set against the backdrop of Cuba's political and cultural history, backed by 2 fantastic musicians at the show. Please welcome Oceana to perform a preview of Viaje.
Abuela, abuela, un asesinato, una muerte, una libertad, una libertad. El ahora. Y yo, ¿cuál es es mi deber? ¿Cuál es mi deber? ¿Cuál es mi deber? ¿Quién viaja, abuela? Once upon a time. That's how stories usually begin, don't they? Not joking. What stories were you told when you were younger? Hansel and Gretel, Little Red Riding Hood, Snow White. A lot of cannibalism in those stories. Well, folks, I can reassure you or disappoint you, there will be no cannibalism here tonight. But there will be a story, and this story begins in Cuba. Every night, my abuela would tell me tales of exciting escapes and dangerous endeavors, which always dramatically ended right before she tucked me into bed. There was no time to lose when suddenly he was shot in the back. Calinita, buenas noches, good night, my booba. 1958. Alberto Milian, the father of my abuela. Abuela is my grandmother, so he is my bisabuelo, my great-grandfather, and Gladys, his wife, is my bisabuela, abuela's mama. My grandmother, abuela, my great-grandfather, bisabuelo Alberto, and my great-grandmother, bisabuela Gladys. Yeah. 1958. Fulgencio Batista is in power. He was known for his military techniques and his secret police. You would never know when they would come for you, and when they didn't, I imagine you lived in fear, waiting to be taken away. So Batista was an awful guy and not well liked. He manipulated elections, had people tortured, neighbors and loved ones were going missing or were murdered. That by New Year's Eve, 1958, Fulgencio Batista was faced with his enemies. Good old revolution spread from the east of the island and cornered him in the west. They came down from the Sierra Mountains and overthrew Batista in Havana. At the front of this uprising was Che Guevara and Fidel Castro. And somewhere fighting amongst the rebels, mi bisabuelo Alberto. The first dawn of 1959. The streets are quiet, the sun is bright, and Fulgencio Batista is nowhere to be found. Batista fled to the Dominican Republic. Suddenly no one sat at Mr. Big Boss's chair. And Cuba is in political suspension. Different leaders come into play, all jostling for power. And out of the chaos came Castro, fighting for the people. He's building schools, he's building hospitals, promising hope for Cuba. Castro the radical. Castro the bold. Showed us how and why on the 26th of July. el 26 de julio. Él es un hombre honesto. Es un hombre.
Thank you so much, Oceana. That was absolutely amazing. Please go and get tickets to the show on the 29th of May at the Brunswick, if there are still any. As you can see, it's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Give it up. So I'm going to hand back to you guys, and we'll kick you off and get you started. There you go.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Oceana. That was amazing. It was absolutely stunning. And thank you, Charlie, for your introduction. So what we want to do now is to get into different groups. One of the things I'm going to say is it's okay to move. Do not just sit in your seat. Move around, talk to people. Also give your advice as well. So me, Serena, Jack and John are going to be sitting on tables. This is John. This is Jack. He's not wearing his crown this month, which I'm very sad at. It's very disappointed, John. Jack, sorry.
If you caught last month's, if you caught last month's Cloud Wars, we thought it'd be a really amazing experience to bring back the panelists representing AWS, Azure, and GCP over to help facilitate the discussions within the different tables.
Brilliant. So if we all want to go and sit on different tables, help yourself to another beer before you sit and have a chat and learn stuff from each other. And at the end, we just want to get back together and do a bit of Q&A, find out your top advice, questions that you really wanted to ask the different teams, and obviously anything you can recommend anyone to get back into the cloud or develop or get further in their career on the cloud.
Yeah. So the three tables we've got is developing skills, which is mid-level. Then we've got established in cloud, which is for professional. And then we've got the table which I'll be joining, which is new to cloud for people looking to get into the industry or to look at new cloud skills. One thing that I will request is that if people are on LinkedIn, does everybody know how to get to their QR codes? Because that is what today's about, networking and connecting with lots of different people. So if you have the LinkedIn app, and I appreciate you can't see my phone over there, and to be fair, it's probably good because you'll see really cute pictures of my children, Tristan and Gethin, hi. But if you go in, if you sign into LinkedIn and you go to the search bit at the top, if you click onto that, you'll get little squares on the right-hand side, and that will bring up your own QR code. So get used to how to do that so you can help connect with lots of different people in this room today.
Brilliant. Right. And then finally, make sure you join our LinkedIn group because a lot of us are already on there. It's a great way to communicate and we want to see posts from all of you. You're going to get bored of minus Irina's posts otherwise, so please share. Otherwise, we'll keep posting. Cool. So if we want to get in groups and have fun. I won't give you the microphone. I'll keep it.
What's it? Everyone can hear. What's the back?
I can always hand it.
Sure, it's really distracting to the other table.
I'm confused because we just merged the tables, right? But I'm completely new to cloud, so.
About how to develop in the cloud as well. I hate these microphones, but basically, I've done a lot of training in the clouds. I'm not originally from a cloud background. And something that is absolutely key is to keep learning. You don't stop. I mean, I've been doing this for about 8 years now, and I'm still learning every day. Be experience of new people, you'll still learn. What's your name, by the way? Sorry? Ed. Nice to meet you. Oh, he's coming to learn. John is also. I'm going to hand it over to John so you can do a bit of introduction. We have to. Because John is high experience in AWS. So you just GCP.
Am I really? No, I don't know. I get so bored of introducing myself. Hi, I'm John, lead cloud engineer at Logicata. I've been working in cloud for, I don't know, half a dozen years, all of that in AWS, 4-time certified. I also run the local user group. So you would have seen the slide for the AWS Brighton user group. I co-run that with my boss, which is awkward as fuck, but there we go. Anything else? No, that'd do.
What would your advice be getting into AWS? Because I'm going to talk about GCP. And we both know that.
Don't do GCP.
How is GCP the unsexy one?
Well, I think it's sexy. Like, I think it's great, but AWS is definitely.
Apart from the fact that they just completely deleted someone, like a multi-million-pound customer.
Be careful what we say. It's being recorded.
It's public domain.
Yes,
It was. They called it a once-in-a-generation mistake.
But they did repair it, restore it. But yeah, in terms of developing the cloud, how do you guys learn? Cool. We'll take it away from John before he ends up like getting us cancelled. How do you guys learn? That's the first thing, because everyone learns differently and there's different platforms to learn in. So I'm going to pass to you. How do you learn?
Sure. A mix of mentors and then self-led study. So I've been in web development for 1.5 years in terms of studying it and trying to break into it commercially. To begin with, I hired a mentor because I realized, I knew nothing. So it was just overwhelmed. That's the thing. I think when you start, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what's quality information, quality education. Whereas now I'm at the point where I can look at a tutorial on YouTube or some of these courses and be like, yeah, okay, this seems like valuable and worthwhile for me to invest my time. Whereas before it was just, you can't rate it. And also, you get stuck in these shiny objects. You don't know which way to go. Everything seems like a great idea. So, yeah, but I think that there's an invaluable nature to learning through mentorship that I find, because it's just, they cut through the fluff and they can give you more real world examples.
I think there's a lot of the training. I don't.
You don't know?
Yeah, so there is a lot of fluff on the internet. There's lots of training courses, and to be honest, a lot of the training courses are focused on not real world scenarios. I think John and I probably. To pass the exam, you pass the exam a bit like school. You do courses, but when you go into real world, like I'm a data engineer, so I'm working in a slightly different field to what you guys are using, but when I'm doing the courses, it is very clean and vanilla, and things aren't wrong. You're not taking on or inheriting anything that's wrong. But real world is things are not done well. Huh? But yeah, so Jacqueline, I'm going to put you on the spot because I know Jacqueline is not. You're obviously a cloud professional, but I've been trying to get you into it. How would you learn? How would you like to approach learning?
I learn best by doing. Yep. Thank you, Liz. I haven't studied any cloud courses or anything, but I do learn best by doing. So like example-led and replicating.
How does AWS have a free platform like Sandbox GCP?
No. So, I mean, yes and no. Every AWS account has an amount of free. They call it a free tier, and I get really uppity about it because you can get in a lot of trouble very quickly because it's incredibly opaque. How much is free? How long it's free for? Some stuff's free forever, up to a certain usage level. Some of it is free for a period of time, up to a certain usage level. And some services, the AI stuff mostly, is never free. You just pay. Like Deep Racer, and you can't even use credits against it. You couldn't start with. It was horrific. I know, right? What a lot of the third-party training providers do, trying to think, Pluralsight do this. Pluralsight bought a Cloud Guru, and that's a big thing. They have sandbox environments that you don't pay for because you're paying them a fee. So they just run it and they shut them all down afterwards. So you don't really have to worry about that. That's quite good. But again, it's quite restricted because they'll only open what you need for that lab. They won't just say, here's an account, go nuts. If you want to do that, you kind of have to put your own credit card up for risk. And there's no way with AWS of limiting the amount of money you can spend. You can set budgets and they'll tell you when you spent a certain amount of money, but there's no enforcement of it, which is, again, I take exception with this. I work with it for a living, so I'm familiar with it, but what I'd really like is a button that says on this account, never ever cost me money, or this is production, never ever stop, just bill. And there isn't. The other bits that they've got, gamified learning, they're kind of big on that. So what's it called? Cloud Quest? Yeah. It's if you're under the age of about 9, you probably appreciate it. I don't get on with it, but there we go. Gamified ways of doing the training and going through as an avatar and kind of all that crud. But I'm old and had lectures at university, so I do lecture-based courses. And then go and pass exams because that's kind of the point of it. But then again, I do this for a living. Some of the exams are related to what I do, some of them aren't. So one of them I YOLO'd because I do it every day for a living. Some of the others I have to actually do quite a lot of studying because I don't touch it. It's a whole bunch of services that I don't use, but work wants me to pass the exams because work gets benefit out of it.
Here's where GCP comes better, actually. We're not doing competition between GCP and AWS, but I'm trying to win the crown back. We don't have the crowns. That's what you're saying. So GCP has a free tier, and you can set up your own GCP project and remove your billing account. So you can do quite a lot without billing, and you can also set up quotas on different tools, which means you can limit the costs. Because I've been bitten by AWS back in my day with good old Postgres and seeing a very large bill come through. But GCP, I think, for people who are first going onto cloud, it is a really great entry point because you can learn the techniques, and then you can go over to AWS and Azure because effectively it is kind of similar. It's not the same, but there are a lot of similarity. Yeah, they're just named differently. That's the thing. It's getting used to the names and also being reset on what you want to do as well, because it's overwhelming. Even sometimes when I'm looking at a certification course, as you say, 90% of it I will never use. Like, I'm trying to do my data engineering professional certificate, and it's literally about 10%. Oh, there's two now. There's foundation, which is actually not great.
Oh, yeah, right. This is a point of contention. He's not even there. It's a point of contention, and I've always had an issue with it because if you look at Azure certs, Azure, go with Azure. That's how they say it in Seattle. I'll go with that. And if you look at AWS certs, there's foundation, and then there's what they call associate, which is like you've used it for a bit, but you're not an expert. And then there's professional, which is you've done this for half a decade. And then there's specialty, which is data engineering or SAP because you're old, or, this, that, and the other. GCP, up until reasonably recently, had one associate and everything else was pro. So it's like, where's the differentiation? Everything's a pro cert. And a lot of the pro certs, according to people I know that have done them, were basically as difficult as the AWS associate certs because it was just not pitched right. So again, you don't know what you're aiming at.
It's a very GCP was late on the certification side, but I think that's where it was late to cloud as well, let's be honest. But I think it's using a combo of all the different tools. You can effectively get free learning without having to pay for it. Pluralsight's great though. I'm a great fan of Pluralsight, and you can, if I remember rightly, if you sign up to an Office account, the free version, you can get a year's free. That might have changed now. I'll find the details put in LinkedIn, but you can get like a free Pluralsight access, and it means that you can do a bit of learning, just make sure you cancel it. And also, I think the biggest thing is just giving it a try. Obviously, from a data engineer's perspective, I only use the tools that I really need to use, and I'll learn the bits that I need to use. But if you try to learn everything, you never you don't go out or sleep or.
Question too. Okay, thanks. Great to be here. So I hear you talking about certifications a lot, and on my journey into web development, which has been primarily front end, there's no talk of certifications. So it seems like a different field in terms of.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Yeah.
Certs are a bit of a cheat for the applicant tracking system, if anything else, because it gets you past the non-technical hiring screen. Once you've been in the industry for a smattering of years, I don't want to put a number on that, but it's more than a couple. All of a sudden, you've got a load of demonstrable experience. Bang, I can do all of this, and you can talk to it, and you look competent. And particularly if you go the way I've done, your face is all over the internet so much that people go, oh yeah, I know him, he does that. And that kind of beats the screening that way. But if you haven't got that, because you haven't been doing it for years and years, certs beat the screening system. It's like having ITIL on your CV from years ago. I did ITIL too. I know.
So then how worthwhile would it be to do a certification if I'm trying to get an edge as a front-end developer? And I ask that because I know someone who is doing the same mentorship program as me, and then they've gone onto a government-sponsored 12-week program to get a certification for AWS, I think. Is it Restart? And Restart. So what he was saying is that he's been told that cloud is big and there's actually a better supply and demand in terms of jobs versus the front-end developer world.
I've slightly I think there are a lot of back-end developer roles. If you go to like the gaming industry, there's so much back-end development roles that are using GCP, AWS. Yeah.
Really need a boom arm or something that's just sat there, don't we? It's the wrong pickup pattern on the mic. I podcast. I have microphones as well. I do this sort of thing. It's the wrong pickup pattern. Just the sound guy. Yeah, so the supply of front-end devs has been a little bit overdone because of boot camps. Everyone sees a website and goes, I want to do that for a living. Go and do a 12-week boot camp, and then React and Angular and maybe Spring Boot and this and that and the other. And great, cool. We don't need any more Laravel devs. They're all miserable fuckers. I've never met a PHP dev that was happy. I know. Again, industry joke. Also true. But when you start going back further down the stack to back-end work, and this is the mythical full stack developer that can do front end and back end, they don't really exist. It's like a unicorn. It's a horse with a tube on its head. They don't actually exist. But you go further back and down towards the stack, and what I do for a living is I'm a platform engineer and various other things. So I do lots of infrastructure work, which is not real engineering, really. I write lots of YAML and just know things. But the level of demand for that is way ahead of the supply. But no one knows it exists unless you're already in the industry. You see front-end dev, loads of people want to do it because you see all these flashy websites and go, oh yeah, I want to do that. I want to build them. And there's a load of stuff under the covers that no one knows exists.
So from our point of view, being web analysts and data engineers, we're always focused on, I mean, I am actually a data engineer. I know. It's the same as analysts. It's the same as analysts. It's one of those terms now. It's quite broadly used. But I think it's about making your own career as well, because, I mean, I specialize in a certain area of GCP over the last 6, 7, 8 years now. And I love it. I enjoy it. I know you don't frown that face. I think that's kind of given. I don't get ID'd anymore, ever. They look at me and shake their head and pass me through. That is amazing. It's a youthful glow of all the...
It's an old man drink.
Yeah.
Is it? Such an old man drink.
I mean, you could do data engineering on how to design mead, the alcohol levels. I can literally make analytics out of anything. But yeah, so you can choose your career and focus on certain areas. And I mean, I hate that term full stack engineer. You get full stack data engineer as well nowadays. But ultimately, if you have the strong focus on what...
Well, that's what I'm going to try to do. Just carry on.
If you focus on an area you want to study and you enjoy it, you can then add a bit more onto it. So you almost stack your skills up, but it's about enjoying what you do. And I love what I do. I love working with data. I know, I'm a nerd. But if you enjoy it, you learn it. It's a simple fact. And also, it's a big thing in the industry at the moment. It's 10 over now.
Just keep going.
It's a big thing in the industry at the moment where people feel like they need to compete with each other. Because you get LinkedIn posts, they're intense.
Oh, it's
everyone knows everything.
It's success porn.
Yeah, it's really, don't feel intimidated by that.
I love that term. I'm going to steal it and use it.
I don't think I coined it.
It's really true though, because if I feel as an engineer sometimes, like a long time in, there's sometimes like, oh, am I that good at BigQuery? But actually, I know I am. So it's about being.
You've got to convince yourself you're the smartest person in the room, even when you know you're not.
Yeah, you're never going to be the best. That's a simple fact. You're never going to know everything. You're still going to learn something every day. And one of the things that I find the easiest way of learning, this is what we're doing, everyone. One of the easiest ways of learning, so for example, what I do is this sounds really nerdy, but I literally give myself 10 minutes in the evening and I'll read through a functional document and I'll do that every evening because it's micro learning.
Yeah, I play video games.
Huh?
I play video games.
See, I literally, like, it's my video game. I really need a life. I need to get out.
Just trying to think about, because I am one of those front end, the men front end without any much experience, and it's very humbling position to be in, just being to see other people. And so I'm just thinking about how can I give myself an edge and where do I go? So
A cloud cert helps. Cloud cert helps because it shows that you understand the technologies that things run on top of. Because I've never done front end boot camp, and if you try to make me, I would kill myself. I don't do front end. It's just not my thing. Nasty hacky scripts. Yeah, I just wouldn't do it. I've completely lost where I'm going with that.
So give you an edge because it's so fun.
Yeah, because I think outside of boot camps, I think pretty much in lots of training, certainly at this university, the concept of it runs somewhere other than your laptop is quite foreign to a lot of new entrants. Particularly you see this with grads quite a lot as well. It's like, well, it works on my machine. Great, so we get all of the customers ever to come and stand at your desk with me. Cool, that's great. But if you can show that you understand some of the services that it sits on, cloud's good. A fundamental understanding of the command line and Linux is really handy, because whilst the world and his mum uses a Windows PC, if you're not a developer, because then you use a Mac, they just work better for this sort of thing. They work better. 96% of the internet runs on Linux, something like that.
Yeah, it's a huge amount, and to be
And
honest,
it usually runs on underpowered
kit.
kit.
It's fun. These little bits of old languages, they seem like old languages, but it's worth learning.
Bash, learn Bash.
Oh, Bash, and even Swift. It's like
Yeah.
the apps. It's
Yeah.
when you do native apps, but
You don't do native apps, do it in Dart, transfer
yeah.
part.
But it's all about learning the things that everyone else hasn't. Like when I first started out with GCP, I noticed that everyone was AWS or Azure. I was like, well, may as well scoot over there and see what it's like. And also learning languages that may not be the one that's like the big buzzword.
You still need to learn SQL. Everyone in creation needs to know SQL if you work in tech.
It's
Non-negotiable.
so key.
Non-negotiable.
And once you learn SQL as well, you learn if
It's basically English.
It is. It's
Practically
really
English.
It's easy because you can relate it to, like the way I always, my analogy is, it's like an Excel sheet that if you want to build a table, you basically build a pivot table out of it to make it really simple.
It's easier than pivot tables.
Don't give John an Excel sheet, basically. But
No, I mean the amount of the world that runs on Excel is terrifying.
it is actually quite concerning, isn't it? Especially with
Google Sheets though. That's right.
Oh, it's Google Sheets actually. You can integrate that into GCP. It's not the be all end all, but on my old app, like we did a multi-million, like just the biggest darts app. Not saying to, it was the biggest darts app in I think in the world at one point, but it was powered behind the scenes by GCP and a Google Sheet. So there are sometimes
Terrifying.
it is terrifying, but it's ultimately it's finding out about different things, talking to different developers as well, like randomly message someone and say, look, I like your work, tell me about it, find out what they
You've got to get the right person, because when you get to the certain level, I just get LinkedIn spam.
Yeah.
And as the outreach too, you've got to be prepared for, being blanked.
Yeah.
there is rejection side, or 3 months later you'll randomly get a message back, which I commonly have a habit of doing, but reach out to people, but also read people's blogs, get to know what they're doing, because I think the community people want to share for the most part. I know definitely the Google Cloud Platform community does, because our documentation is awful.
That's what GCP stands for. I think that's where
Google Cloud Platform, so
that's still quite big. What GCP?
yeah, no, it's
I mean, they are comparatively in market share. They're small.
yeah.
AWS is like 45% or something, which used to stand for Amazon Web Services. It's now just AWS, like trademarked as a term. In the same way that Asda used to be Associated Dairies, and it isn't anymore, it's just Asda.
There's so much like out there.
Okay, so there's like new areas to branch into, like for example, like Bash, Linux, SQL, GCP is good because you get a quota.
Yeah, and you also get a $300 credit for the first 3 months, and then if you sign up with another email address, you get another $300.
I've got about 4 free tries.
Yeah,
I've got one of the greatest things ever, which is on Firefox, for about $10 a year, you can do Mozilla Relay, Firefox Relay, so it gives you a massive email mask. So whenever you sign up to an account, it's harder to expand and whatnot. What it also means is that you can sign up or like your one account.
You can just put a plus after a lot of email providers support this. Where if you put a plus in the first half, so you'd be John.Goodall plus something at gmail.com. That plus is ignored, but it's still treated as unique by most systems.
I don't think if GCP got around, they weren't that one.
It's a trick we use when vending dozens of customer accounts in AWS, because they all need a unique email. So we all want them to go to the same place. So let's just alias all of this.
So my question is going to be to kind of what sort of questions? This is what's difficult when you're using something. You don't know the questions before you start putting in some targeted research. So what sort of questions am I going to ask when I want to start deepening my knowledge? And okay, well, how do I learn Bash, and what does that mean as a developer? And how could I steer what I'm learning now to be someone who's actually very important? Where do I go to learn this?
I learned Bash by force. I had to do it for work, brute force.
My mate does it.
I think mentoring is like different mentors. You don't have to just have one mentor. I actually at one point had 3 different mentors and all for different things. They're really useful for different reasons. They're all lovely people.
Did they keep buying you lunch?
No, they didn't get me lunch because it's all remote during lockdown. But again, just having phone calls with different people as well might help. I would say, this sounds again very nerdy, I have, and I think Jessica probably knows this, I have my own learning development Trello board, so I literally write down. I love Jira, but I'm not for it.
You know Atlassian own Trello.
Yeah, I know, but this is free. Basically, I have my Trello board, and it allows me to sort of think. I put down what I want to learn, and then I plan it out, and I treat it in an agile, basically project manage myself. I treat it in an agile way that I then think, I don't want to learn this thing. If I see something, then about 3 months after, I'm like, actually, this is no longer useful because it's taking it a step at a time. You're not going to have all the answers or questions in the first instance. It's about thinking, what my 3 core objectives for the next 3 months to develop, or even one if it's bigger. And then after you finish that, at that time, you'll be developing more questions to ask.
Are you sure you don't work in training and development rather than?
I training development as well.
I just chase what's interesting.
No comment.
As Jess is very positive. But the other thing as well is GitHub. You see what other people do. GitHub is an absolute. I love GitHub.
People are quite good at, particularly in the AWS community. I'm an AWS community builder, and there's a whole program around that of, there's about 4,000 or something like that, of people that just put content basically screaming into the void. Here's how you can do this cool thing, or I learned this cool thing, or I built that, I thought you might find it interesting, kind of thing. And people that do that, and there's a lot of people that do it and don't get accepted because it's like a 10% acceptance rate every year when you apply. They just learn in the open. So you will find people, and I'm really bad at this, but you will find people that are just, I'm working through this, I'm building this project, and I'm going to blog about it as I do it, or I'll do live coding, or all these sorts of things. I don't know if GCP has this sort of concept, but Microsoft has what they call MVPs. AWS has heroes, and these are people that have put lots of good stuff out into the community, and they've been recognized for doing it. There's directories of these people. So you can just search AWS heroes and then you'll get a whole list of them. Like 5 of them. They're amazing people because they just give and give and give. And they'll do all sorts of cool stuff. They'll do live coding on Twitch streams and all sorts like that, which is like, okay, you lot are mad, but cool.
GCP,
I don't know if GCP has that as a concept.
Quite low. It's got communities that have a weird one. We've got women tech makers now, which is not just women. It's just they had a bit of an issue getting women on board.
I mean, that's tech generally.
Yeah, in general as well. But also there is the certification directory, and anyone who's certified goes in that. And a lot of people want to share. The one I find is Medium has built up a really good community. I know you don't like it, but
no, Medium as a company is predatory.
Yeah.
It's utterly predatory.
But
without the author's consent.
Yeah.
It's predatory.
It's a little bit iffy, but we do have a good community there. But actually, GitHub is where the community's been built.
Free Code Camp is worth looking at. Free Code Camp. I'm actually published by them. Free Code Camp actually published me a few years ago. No, I'm properly published, not just self-published.
See, I could just put my website.
So you can you search for other people like volunteers? Is that right?
Yeah,
Is
so
that
if you
what's going on?
go on GitHub and like I don't really like it too much, but sometimes I'll use, if I'm being lazy, I'll use ChatGPT and say, please find me GitHub repositories that focus on this. Now, it doesn't bring back the best results, but it might give you an idea about what sort of names to ask for. But I tend to go on GitHub and I'll search for something that I find interesting.
Dev.to is a good place to go. Again, I know this because AWS community, they've got their own kind of spaces. AWS Hero's got a space in there. So Dev.to is kind of becoming the, back before Medium was really awful, Dev.to is kind of the open version of that. People just write, and there's huge amounts of stuff out there.
People like sharing.
People do.
I mean, that's what I know. The development very nurturing space.
It's as an industry, tech is a funny one because it seems to be a fundamental polar opposite to lots of other industries. And I've worked in retail and stuff before. Very hierarchical, top down. You will do this. I'm telling you to do that. Go off and do this. That doesn't fly in tech. It doesn't fly. Go and do that. Nah. No. Because why not? Because that's not what's important. That's more important. It's much more flat.
It's just about different levels of experience that you can teach each other, because ultimately, rather selfishly, I want more people to join the GCP community.
Because you want to start a GCP user group, don't you?
I've got too many user groups already. But it's about talking, like bringing communities, finding out websites, and even the other thing that I find quite useful is I write my own blogs because it means I can, and I do reference blogs, so I can't remember how to do that. I wrote about it, but I built myself up my own recipes, which allow me to remember when I hit this point.
Now you can be an Uber nerd and refer someone else to your own blog.
I have.
Peak nerd.
I peak nerd myself. But you also learn from all the iffy things. So cloud is messy, and
I've deleted full production environments more than once.
That's a bad day.
No, it's fine. If it's done properly, just we'll turn that back on again. If you've not really worked in tech properly until you've deleted production or broken production.
everyone's
done it. Broke production 4 times.
But you know what? It's okay to break something. You
Just fix
maybe
it.
don't bring down a company or anything, but like
By deleting the whole account.
I mean, I've been in a situation where someone's deleted an entire game by accident, so nothing about it. But the good thing is you learn from that as a complete learn from mistakes, but you still.
It's fairly blameless as an industry, even when you get into like big faceless corporates, they're quite good about it. It was work from the beginning that everyone was doing the best they could with the information they had at the time.
Sure. Yeah.
It's not anyone's fault. The system failed.
The system is because it's even in these early days, right? I noticed like you push something over here, and then like over your shoulder, everything else moves, and you go, whoa, like, how did that? And that's on small code bases, right?
It can be that you get these strange errors, and I mean the cloud industry side really.
Straight alpha particle.
Huh?
Do you not remember that?
What's it called?
Many years ago now, Oracle, I think,
Oh,
blamed weird behavior in one of their data centers on stray alpha radiation.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Stray alpha particle. You what? The thing is, over a big enough data center, it's actually viable that background radiation can cause bit flips in RAM.
So it was a viable excuse.
It's completely ridiculous, but
Cloud is maturing though, because we're still, let's be honest, John, we're always developing still even now. And I would say that anyone is, like, we've been in this industry for a long time, but
I noticed you didn't say a number there.
I don't say that, no. 40 years. No,
I did COBOL when I was a teenager.
I used to do SAS and SDSS, so this is how I learn. But ultimately, new people into the industry bring just as much as people like us, a little bit like dinosaurs. We've been driving
Wizened old fools.
with wizards, we look like wizards, experienced wizards.
Wizened.
I like 10 wizards.
The funny thing is, one of the stickers for one of the certs I've got is a wizard.
I think they're just trolling you.
No, it's AWS do stickers for each of the certs that they've done.
We don't get any decent ones. We just get like.
I mean, this is community swag. Yeah, this is community swag. This is a community summit that's run by the Manchester user group amongst a couple of others, and they have like a mini summit. Yeah, it is. I live in swag. I don't own any of my own clothes. I don't buy any.
That's the main reason for going into cloud.
Swag.
That's the main.
I got some Launch Darkly socks at the AWS summit. Socks are a thing.
What's your question?
I have one more question really about this. So, you know, what sort of roles? I go away, I learn some SQL, there's some, you know, to get going.
You don't need to learn Transact SQL or PL SQL. You just need like the basics.
Yeah, like select XX from group. You just
Select
select
this from
whatever columns from group by or by if you need it, and that's pretty much and you can learn that for free as well. There's loads of free learning.
Code Academy is quite good.
Yeah.
So I go do some Linux, do some Bash, learn off my line, go and do some SQL. See then where am I heading? Like where's this taking me in terms of roles and opportunity and sanity? Yeah, I think I'm already there. And it's a good place.
The thing is, none of those skills will by themselves lead you to one role or another. They're kind of table stakes, if that makes sense. It's you need those for a seat at the table. Yeah, it's a poker table, stakes for the table. So you have to stake your entry. It's tech is awful for these sorts of terms.
You'd never have all the skills for your CV. Like,
No.
If someone asks you for a front-end developer, even data engineering role, I look at them and I'm like, well, I've got about 60% of that, so that.
If you've got 100% of the skills on the spec, you're overqualified because you won't learn anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's one of the other things is when you go for like if you want to develop into front-end dev, data engineering, whatever you're doing, you're never going to be 100% skills. You're also still going to be learning 15 years later. No, I'm not being.
Tech is not stagnant, is the thing. It moves, and it moves constantly and really quick. Oh yeah.
Now, okay, so say I wanted to change the supply and demand in my trade, right? This is the big.
You want to make yourself in demand.
I want to make myself in demand as quickly as possible. That's the big.
There's no shortcut. There's no shortcut.
I mean,
You might get lucky in a junior dev role.
Yeah, I mean that's.
You might get lucky.
Yeah.
The funny thing is with salaries in tech, you can go from sort of mid-level in other industries to junior in tech and paid about the same. Because it's just like, oh, cool, I'll just get going then.
But also, but you know, in terms of moving away from front end, for example, that's what I'm saying. Because you said that was so.
I don't know that it's saturated, but it's noisy. It's noisy because of boot camps putting up front end capable, not devs, front end nearly devs.
but it doesn't mean that if you're excellent in field, it can be that you can just accelerate out because the attrition for juniors in any of the cloud-based roles is quite high because people do start and then they do leave out. So you do find that 5 years later there won't be as many people there with that experience. So it's about either perseverance and really focusing on constantly evolving and broadening that skill, build teaching people skill set, or looking to see actually, and this is what I did. I was like, well, I'm doing analytics, but I don't want to do front end analytics and visualization because it's not my.
Because you have to learn Python.
I do. I love Python. I think Python's great. It's the visualization I don't enjoy. It's that I sort of focus backwards. It's like there's needs in industry with people who can work with this specific type of data. So I focus on that and I build a career around it. So you might find you start your career here, you go on this little journey here, and then you realise that actually no, I want to focus here, and it will lead. I think sometimes organically, what's available will guide you as well.
Yeah, I didn't do that at all. I just bimbled about chasing more money and just what to do first. I did testing to start with, and then I was environments management, which is just looking after kit basically, and then that evolved into DevOps and then cloud. So I just kind of chased the bag as it in the one part. Just went, oh, that's more money. Oh, that's shiny. I'll do that instead. And I've just sort of done this for a bit. This will turn into something else at some point, probably. I work for an incredibly small firm now where I'm employee number 2, which is great fun, which means I wear 5-6 different hats fairly regularly. I do engineering, I do architecture, I do marketing, I do all sorts. Yes, I mean, really the point I'm kind of making is you can hyper-focus, go, I want to do that. I'd just be more open to what comes along. Because all of a sudden you could be thinking, oh, I want to do that, but that's a load of money, or that looks really interesting. That.
Yeah. That's not the first person to say that to me, actually, because I've been in React since I was career.
If you start, the front-end languages are a funny one because AWS, cloud more generally, but AWS in particular, this serverless world, which is a way of just running code without thinking about servers. They use all of those languages, TypeScript being one of them, JavaScript, Python, and so on. Golang, yes and no. It's kind of semi-supported now, but yeah. They use those, and you can run them in what they call lambdas, which is just like, here's a piece of code, run it for me. And then also you can use your front-end language to do back-end stuff, or just move data around, or do all sorts of things. Because large parts of, most of what people work on professionally isn't sexy. It's a CRUD app. It's quite literally, it's create something, it reads something, it updates something, or it deletes something. And there's lots of ETL processing. Just take data from there, do the thing, put data over there. It's not interesting, it's not sexy. But if you have a command of languages that you're able to do that on lots of different platforms, and you understand that platform well enough to say, I know TypeScript and I know enough about GCP or AWS to write a cloud function that can do this, cool, done.
Some cloud agnosticity, because
Cloud what?
I can't say the word, being cloud agnostic, because I
Agnosticity.
can't say the word. Being able to jump between clouds.
That's bullshit.
Really?
It's hard enough moving from one region to another in a cloud provider. It's bullshit.
I mean, learning it.
It's useful knowing the others. So I know a little bit about GCP. I know enough to know I don't like it.
It really hates it.
I didn't get that at all.
Yeah.
You didn't get that?
No, not at all.
I know enough to know I don't like
Yeah,
it.
chucking things to me, so
I had to use Firebase back when it was really bad. That was tainted me. It was bad.
But the principles of GCP, AWS, and Azure
they're all very similar.
So does it?
They're all doing this, but fundamentally, they're all running data centers for you. That's all they're really doing.
And the names are just, there's actually a link up, there's a link up sheet where you've got, this is what it means in Azure, this is what it means in AWS, this is what it means in GCP, and the names are so different.
AWS, there's a whole department of crap names. It's all in Greek and it makes no sense.
That's one that Google is like, literally, this is what it does. There's no prettiness around it. No, it's like
Oh, I love
big
lambdas.
querying,
I love
where it's
lambdas.
literally a big
Yeah.
Have you got any questions for us? Because I looked at yours.
You just didn't know.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I get this at work too. No, I'm good.
And let's hear from everyone in the meeting.
Oh no, I do. Quite regularly. I get people that I would talk to. Works quite well. It's that right.
Yeah, it was mildly intimidating at first. I'm so used to it. How would you define my role? Data and analytics.
I don't think that's really given the depth of what you do. So Jess actually does a lot of implementation. She supports data development. So that part of back-end dev that most back-end devs do not like, she helps design that because analytics is the forgotten child most of the time when it comes to back-end dev. But Jess works on that side, obviously implementation.
Yeah.
Working with the data and each data engineer as well.
You keep
She's
saying.
not getting much interest about this.
Yeah, no, but yeah.
She can't.
But also, like a lot of top line strategy. How would you define that? Like measurement strategy, tech stack strategy.
I say analytics strategy.
Yeah, analytics strategy.
Marketing strategy as well.
Everything.
Tech moves so quickly, you've got to be careful to not go, oh, shiny, and start building.
Yeah.
Like the noise AI has been making lately is just ballistic.
Everything is about AI at the moment.
We've got to put AI in everything. No, something like 60% of cloud spend is still in running servers, running basic websites on servers, usually in PHP.
I think the other thing is AI is fantastic, but as a companion, it's like the most confident analyst, and you never trust.
It's confidently wrong.
Exactly, you never trust an analyst who says I'm 100% right. And ChatGPT says that, like literally sometimes I've seen results where it says X, Y, Z. That's not right.
You know that's called a hallucination.
Hallucination?
It's called a hallucination. When an LLM makes something up, it's called a hallucination.
Oh, I like that.
And there's techniques for, I do a little bit, there's techniques for reducing hallucinations.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so prompt engineering is the first one,
I
which is
like a bit of prompt engineering.
asking the right question. It's like knowing how to Google, but
You
for the
can even get ChatGPT to write your prompts for you as well, so you can engineer your ChatGPT to write your prompts as well.
Yeah.
Which is
And then
better.
there's layers and layers and layers where you can just give it more and more specialized data, so it just gets better.
Yes, AI plays its part in development and learning. The other thing is you're never going to remember everything. Like one of the most important things to learn as a developer around this
It's how to Google.
is how to Google. Yeah, it sounds really bizarre, but one of the things we always ask them interview people is how do you learn? Because if people then say, oh, I learned this and I retain it, it's like, well, you're not going to do that. You quite literally you do, but you can't retain everything. So there's times when I need a regex, and I'll be like, well, can you tell me this regex? Because there's no point in me filling my brain with that. I may as well finish the valuable things. So it is.
Regex is the most important thing on the notes.
It is. I'll back you on that one.
It is really important for our jobs, but I'm never going to remember every single breakdown of it. So it's about using the right tools and also not trying to fill your brain with noise. It's about knowing the concepts of it. It's a bit like language. Sometimes you won't know the full language, but you need to understand how to pronounce it and do that.
Programming languages are a bit like that because so many of them have stolen so much from so many other languages.
Oh, they're all the same
They're all the
languages.
same.
Yeah.
Yes, well, it depends. If you start looking at object orientation versus non, that's a little bit different. I spend a lot of time just writing scripts, which is literally just start and run a series of processes. But once you've done it in one language, it's pretty easy to just go, well, I understand the core concept. Cloud is pretty similar. I understand how all of this kind of hangs together. It's just the words are a bit different, or in a semicolon there. Oh, look, I was missing a colon.
Oh, we've all had that.
I feel like it's always a comma or a colon. That's like
You
something
used
great.
tabs instead of spaces,
It's
and your
always-
ID didn't correct it.
Yes.
Usually get someone else to look at it because they go,
Rubber duck.
you spend four.
It sounds really silly. Rubber ducking is the best thing.
Yeah.
If you stuck a
Rubber duck debugging.
Literally, I'll get a phone call someone and something on a piece of code, like, can you just look at this in 2 seconds? And then I get someone to look at it and talk to me in 2 seconds, and I know the problem. And it's resolved. Or you get a crash pair of eyes in it. Because
Even just running, like trying to explain your piece of code to someone else, you'll pick up where the mistakes are. It's
LinkedIn helps so much. That helps development. Reading other people's code, I found terrific. I like reading other people's code because it can help you learn what not to do as well as what to do.
Oh yeah, no, when you start reading other people's code, and this is more when you've gone down the line a little bit and you've done that particular technology, you've used it a lot more than them, you look at it and just think, everyone's been there, but it's hard both ways, because you'll be looking at things that you don't really understand, concepts that you've never seen, like, what the hell is that doing? And then someone else will go, oh, this. Oh, yeah, sure. By the point, thanks.
you're the moral support.
Yeah, I don't mind.
And free beer and pizza.
So how much of this was interesting?
It's always interesting, but I don't always know what you guys are talking about.
Fair play, fair play.
So there's been lots of great conversations happening. I can see lots of networking. We want to quickly open up the door for any last quick Q&As. We have Jack here who's going to stand up if you want. So has anyone got any final questions they want to ask about learning development, clouds and learn, and also developing their careers as well?
I've got something to plug if nobody's got something right now. So it's the Microsoft Build conference this week, which is our developer conference. So if none of you have attended before, it's free to attend. It's all online. It is in Seattle. So if you're lucky enough to get a flight, go and enjoy. I wasn't invited this year. But it's our developer conference. There's tons of AI stuff coming out of it, as you would expect, because it's the hot topic right now. But there is something in there called the Build Skills Challenge. It's free to sign up. And what you can get out of it at the end of it is free exam vouchers to go and take Azure certifications and stuff like that, but also a guided learning path through many different areas, whether you're dev focused, infrastructure focused, security focused, whatever. Go and pick a learning path. You get 30 days to complete it. It's all structured through a website. You sign up, go through it, and then at the end of it, you'll get an exam voucher to go and take pretty much any exam in the Microsoft stack that you want to go and take, as long as you complete your homework within the 30 days. So I signed up today because I need to get a bit more on board with the AI world. It doesn't stop, unfortunately, the learning. So yeah, hopefully I'll go and I do get the exams free though, because I do work there. But yeah, the vouchers are still very handy. So do go and check that out. It's well worth it, especially as we're on the topic of learning. It's free learning and free certification. So yeah, if you go on the Microsoft Build website, you'll see the Learn Skills Challenge, and you can sign up there.
Share that on LinkedIn channel as well.
Yes, I will do that. Yeah, there we go. That would be my homework.
That's the point. Speaking of homework, I guess key topics inside the New to Cloud table were we did some LinkedIn profile, looking at that additional section where you can add things like personal projects. Inside personal projects, we were talking about things like the Cloud Resume Challenge, AWS workshops, and for people who are moving from one domain to tech, essentially, looking at that personal project route to showcase the fact that you have got that hands-on tangible ability. There was even talking about putting things to video. Don't know what crazy person would do that. It'd be so embarrassing to watch 4 years later down the line. Might have shown something that I did in the past, but using that to kind of help yourself stand out from, an ordinary CV from that aspect. Obviously, things like putting projects inside GitHub or anything like that was also useful. We spoke about, charitable events, opportunities to, speak at one of our events. We were talking about whether
There's
or not
always opportunities.
Yes.
We want everyone, whether you're experienced or new, it doesn't matter. We want people to come to the table, talk about your journey, even if you're 3 months in. It just brings so much to other people in that same position. And you never know, it's going to inspire people who might want to be joining your journey, and they're maybe 6 months behind you when they're starting that consideration phase. So it doesn't matter if you're hyper experienced. We want everyone to talk. Again, you don't want to just hear us two talk all the time, but we will do it. So.
Yeah, we were even talking about potentially, just to reduce the pressure, having like little lightning talks, 5 to 10 minutes, really short, snappy, about your journey or something that you've learned from that aspect. Obviously, key things is the fact that, one, you get to articulate what you've learned. And that's the best way of learning, not just being able to remember things, but being able to bring people along the way, as well as the fact that, you get a picture of you doing this event that you can add to your volunteer initiatives, and obviously all the amazing people you meet along the way. In addition, other things we spoke about, there was quite a lot, wasn't there? I'm trying to remember the different ones. Can you shout out? Salesforce, we talked about Salesforce as well. Yeah, we did. I quite like Salesforce. They have a Trailhead app where you can learn, but you can even learn AWS inside there. But the Trailhead app is a really good way of interactive learning. It's not just about the Salesforce ecosystem, but it's also about things like how to be a PM, APIs, lots of different aspects from there. But lots of conversations, including CV tips from that aspect. But were there any further questions from the New to Cloud table? Apart from where can we send all the links to all the things we spoke about?
The video that you make to send to, who do you send the video CV to? Is it the employer?
Oh, okay. I might have shared a story where someone who will remain nameless made a video CV. I don't know who they're talking about. But that one might have been done in a private URL, and it was sent to the talent acquisition partner who works with me in terms of the job. That's a recruiter, essentially, and that they forward it on along with my CV. But talking about projects that you do, and that it's kind of like an easy way of getting in front of that employer from that aspect. But yeah, I just ran it through an app, put some overlays on. I quite like video editing and stuff like that. We don't have to be as much as what I did from that aspect. But it's a really good way to showcase and learning publicly. Like Susanna doesn't she? She normally comes to the Brighton Cloud events, and she's got a great LinkedIn profile that's really got her noticed by quite a lot of people.
Yeah, we will ask Susanna to post some Brighton Cloud soon as well, because she's absolute inspiration. She's been very much pioneering that for us as well, seeing how she's been growing over the last 2 years. And this is a thing. She started here 2 years ago with Brighton Cloud, and now she is just absolutely leading the industry. So you might be new now, but 2 years' time, you're hopefully going to be flying. You'll be able to share different things. You're going to be able to inspire lots of people, and all in your own format as well. Not everyone likes videos. I'm terrible at videos. So I write blogs, and Serena likes videos and posts as well. So it's all about finding that right medium for yourself to both share, promote yourself, talk about what you're doing, because you never know who you're going to help, but also it's a really great way of spotlighting your inspiration. Because let's be honest, you've all come along here today out of your own time to talk about the cloud, and which shows, well, I love it, to be honest, the fact that we've got so many people here talking about cloud, talking about their experience, sharing their experience. And the more we do that, be it on LinkedIn or through even just a WhatsApp group, for example, with people you're chatting to, will help drive you forward over time.
Yeah, it's the networking aspect that I really love about this group. I was saying to Steve that I first came to the cloud event, goodness, maybe 2 and a bit years ago. We did my first talk after probably about 9 months of being part of this group. Hosted, don't know how I ended up hosting, WTF, I still can't say it for fear of being online, serverless that you did, and then obviously ended up being one of the organizers. But it was at one of the first events where I met certain people in the AWS community, don't know who, but John and Carl, and they're the ones who encouraged me to become AWS community builders. I wouldn't have been able to go for certain status and stuff like that because I didn't know that they existed. That's one of the great things about this group. You get to know about different things and different pathways that people are on. And if it works for you, then that's great. What about the mid-level table? What are the key topics?
I think really looking about focusing on learning, talking about, well, the pros and cons of different tools, definitely a difference between AWS and GCP, as we always do, John. Thank you. I think we definitely need to record that right now. But yeah, just generally chatting, finding out more about different pathways and not over panicking over the fact we're never going, none of us, however much we train and develop, we're never going to know everything. As much as I think I know everything, I do not. But being able to accept that and focus on things that you're interested in and you enjoy, that is the biggest thing. Like, I think most of us are cloud hobbyists. As much as John is saying no, he definitely is, because otherwise we wouldn't be committing to these groups. We wouldn't be. You love data. So it's all about making sure that you learn and develop, finding the right tool for you as well, because no one tool is the right tool for everyone. Not everyone likes videos. Not everyone likes reading through code on GitHub. It's different people and finding the right happy medium for yourself.
What about over at the professional table?
So we had some interesting topics. We started in infrastructure as code. We went straight in with some Pulumi, which was deep, and not an area that I play in that often with Pulumi, but I am in the infrastructure as code space. And we were talking around how you'd approach, setting up different environments and what's right and what's wrong. And we started going through zero trust principles, so about identity security and making sure that you don't trust anyone, basically, and you explicitly verify everything. And we talked about the pros and cons and how that relates to businesses and how that can cause bureaucracy and slow down in processes and how you try and avoid those things. So very enterprisey sort of worlds. We also talked a little bit around, product mindset and platform engineering, which is an interesting topic if any of you are in that platform space, which is starting to get typical IT teams to start thinking like app teams and product teams of delivering products to their own customers internally, rather than just being seen as IT and, a requirement and something that everybody leans upon. But, platform teams now can start building their own products, which is the platform. Like, a platform team could deliver Google to their own customers internally and start charging for it. And therefore they have their headcount funded, they got chances to grow, all of those things. So platform engineering was an interesting topic. We also talked a little bit about MongoDB and some of the sort of NoSQL options are available out there. So yeah, quite a wide ranged and varied conversation, but very focused on how do we set things up? How do we scale those things that we've set up? And how do we secure and govern those things that we want to set up? And, the top rule to take away is don't do everything in one account or subscription. Please separate them, because you will thank us all later, and you will save yourself from being a news headline at some point in the near future. So yeah, please do separate out. It costs you nothing to have multiple subscriptions or accounts, so just separate them. But yeah, lots of interesting topics.
Brilliant. Thank you, John. Jack, I keep calling you John.
He's even taking his glasses off.
It's because he's not wearing his crown today. I've just not forgiven him right now. Well, a huge thank you. I'm terrible, aren't I? A huge thank you to everyone for attending today. We have got another event in July the 24th. A Wednesday in July. So our next event, we will be promoting it very soon. It'll be lovely to see you all there and also to get some of you contributing to that event as well. So please reach out to Sarina or I if you want to contribute to the event. And likewise, spam our LinkedIn page. We want everything from you guys. We want you to share your useful links, share your learnings, and also be able to come to us and say, I'd love to do a talk on that. So thank you, everyone. And a huge thank you for Silicon Brighton, as always, for helping us and actually leading us the way to get these events going each time.